exactly right. So prejudice is having a negative feeling. So, okay, in this unit, prejudice, we will be discussing all these given concepts. One is we will be discussing about introduction, nature of prejudice. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, introduction and nature of prejudice, concept of stereotype and discrimination. Pujita, were you there in the last class?
Yes, ma'am.
So what did we complete? Do you remember?
Prejudice is completed, ma'am.
Completed. Oh, good, good. Thank you. Okay, then we will move on to the block 4. Block 4, unit 10.
We have to say leadership, group process and leadership,
Right.
ma'am.
Okay, good. So I'll just present that I will just show you that unit 9, 10. Look what you told us. Otherwise, we would be wasting our time, right? Group processes and leadership. Can you all see the PPT? Can all of you see the PPT?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, let me share. That means I have to share. Then only you can see. Now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We are seeing.
This is in group 4, unit 10, group processes and leadership. So this unit we would be discussing all these concepts. They are meaning, nature and types of groups and the formation of groups, then group structure, functions and cohesiveness, leaderships and types of leaderships. All these concepts we would be discussing in this unit 10. Okay. So now what is the meaning, nature and types of groups? Okay, you tell me in a layman's term, what do you understand by the term group? Pujita or Madhav?
Yes, ma'am.
What do you understand by group?
Group means having some people.
Yes. Group is made of few people, right?
Few people. Yes, ma'am.
Members. And Madhav, would you like to add anything more on that?
Yeah, a group of people are like people that get together and do certain activities together, and their formation of different members that have either similar ideas or want to get one task done that's given to them.
Excellent, excellent. You're very right. So that is what is meant by group. So now here meaning, nature and types of groups. Just as a fish lives in water, human beings live in a society, right? So man cannot segregate himself from the society. We all know that. Aristotle had very well said that man is a social animal. It means that without society, man cannot survive. Man is part of this society. Now, society is made up of smaller units called groups. In the bigger picture, we have this society. In this society, we have different groups. These groups could be formal groups, could be informal groups. So all these we will be understanding in this unit. Generally, the term group is used to refer to a number of people existing together. Children in a park, passengers in a bus, students in a class, persons of a common religion. It's a religious group or it's an educational group. So it could be any kind of group. Now, thus the term group is used in the context when people come together on the basis of physical proximity or other variables like gender, age, education, organization, country, or etc. So that the criteria could be anything. It could be within the country, in an organization or group of members are there, in the education field, in the college, maybe like for us, you are all BA second year, right? BA second year group students are there. You have a group in WhatsApp. So the criteria differs from according to the whatever group you may name it. Now, according to Kimball Young, two or more persons in a state of social interaction can be defined as a group. Please remember to by heart few of the definitions. It's very important to understand the definition. And these definitions, when you're writing, you have to quote the person also, whoever has defined it. Like, for example, here, according to Kimball Young. So, two or more persons in a state of social interaction can be defined as a group. According to Newcomb, now Newcomb is another sociologist who said that a group consists of two or more persons who share norms about certain things with one another and whose social roles are closely interlocking. So this is another definition of a group. Now, a group involves people who perceive themselves to part of a coherent unit that they perceive as different from another group. Now, suppose there are two groups, group A, group B. Now, let us take your university only. Suppose your group is BA second year group. There may be another group BA first year group, and yet another group BA third year group. So all these three groups are categorized based on which year you all are doing in BA, which year. Now, group processes and leadership. There are different kinds of group processes. These are called common bond groups. There are different kinds of groups also, which one is common bond groups, common identity groups, reference groups. Now, according to Cooley, groups are classified into two types, namely primary group and secondary group. What are the two types of groups? One is primary, one is secondary. What is a primary group? It is a group characterized by close or intimate face-to-face interaction or association. It has to be close and it has to be face-to-face interaction. That is known as the primary group. Now, college-going students group, it is a primary group because you all are interacting every day in college. Now, secondary groups, it is one type of groups in which relationships among the members are relatively relaxed, impersonal, rational, and formal. So these groups are mainly focused on some task or goals to be achieved in a formal manner. Now, suppose in your second year BA group only, that is the formal group. In that, again, you will have two, three people, students who have common goals, who study together. So that again becomes informal group. You have a certain task till your exams come, you all will be interacting with each other. And once the exams get over, you may again get separated. So that is called secondary groups or informal groups. The formation of groups. How do groups form? The model developed by Tuckman and Jensen explains that the formation of groups are in the following stages. There are 5 stages how a group forms. One is forming, storming, norming, and performing and adjourning. These are the 5 steps which a group takes for it to form, come into full formation. Forming stage, as the word itself suggests, it is the first stage of group processes. What is that? The forming stage occurs when the members of the group come together and begin their existence as a group. They start the group. That is the formation stage of the group. And this is the first level of the group process. Now, this stage is important for the new members as well as for the group itself. Why is this important? Because they come to know about each other, understand each other, what are the rules, what are the regulations, for what are they forming the group, what is the aim of the group. So all the details in this formation stage only, all the group members come to know. The group and the individual exchange knowledge about appropriate norms. What are norms? Norms means rules. What are the rules followed by the group? And including any existing group structures, procedures, and routines. There may be some routines followed by the groups. Like suppose every day the group will be working for about 3 to 4 hours a day, or maybe alternate days they will be working 8 hours a day. So all these different types of rules and regulations and norms, the group members will come to know in the first level, first stage of group formation. This initial process may end up with the individual rejecting the group or the group rejecting the individuals. Now, for example, why rejection takes place? Now, suppose you will join a group and then you will come to know that, oh, the timings are not suitable for you, or maybe something else is not suitable for you. Then what would you do? You would come out of the group. So this is what you are exiting from the group. Again, reverse also may happen. You will join, and the group, all the members, they will find that your way of thinking, or for example your timing, yours whatever it is not suitable. Your So then they will ask you to exit the group. So either way it is possible. So this stage can be compared to the childhood stage of life. Tuckman says this group formation can be compared to the childhood stage of life. Why childhood stage of life? Because group formation is also in the first stage, initial stage. Childhood also is the initial stage of life. So that is why he says that it can be compared to the childhood stage of life. Now, next stage. The next stage is called the storming stage. Now, this stage can be compared to adolescence. As you all know, in the lifespan development, we have childhood, we have puberty, adolescence, adulthood, old age, all these different stages of lifespan are there. So here, the next stage, which is the storming stage, is being compared to the adolescent stage of life. As the group members begin to get to know each other, they may find that they don't always agree on everything. Members may attempt to make their own views known, expressing their independence and attempting to persuade the group to accept their ideas. So this is a very common phenomena in any group formation. The second level is storming stage. Storming stage means all the members, they are so excited. They want to express their views. They want to tell their opinion. Each member has different opinions, and debates will happen, and clashes will happen. Lots of things will happen in this storming stage. That is why this stage is known as the storming stage. It has been compared to a storm, a huge storm arising. Why? Because different members will be excited and they will be telling out, giving their own views, expressions, and they would want the group to accept their views. So all these would be happening in this second stage. The conflict may be so strong. Sometimes the conflict may become very strong that the group members may disband. So it may reach to such an extreme, but generally it doesn't happen. In the storming state, that if it reaches to an extreme, then they might disband the whole group itself. Although storming can be harmful to group functioning, some conflict among group members may in fact be helpful. So here it's saying that, okay, to the extreme, it is not good at all. Taking the conflict to a very large extreme is not good because it might disband, it might get disbanded. But having said that, little bit of conflicts and clashes are very useful for the group process. Why? Because the group will come to know of different viewpoints, different ideas and all, which will have a healthy competition, which will lead to a healthy competition, which will be very helpful for the group. Sometimes the most successful groups are those that have successfully passed through a storming stage. So here they are pointing out that sometimes the group, a very successful group means what? Because it has passed through this storming stage, it has become successful. It shows the strength of the group. Once it can sustain the storming period, then that means it has sustained the whole purpose, and it is very strong. So it helps in many ways, because conflicts may increase the productivity of the group. Groups that experience no conflict at all may be unproductive because the members are bored, uninvolved, and unmotivated, and because they do not think creatively or openly about the topics of relevance to them. Yes, of course, if there is no conflict, if there's no excitement, there is no exchange of ideas, and it will become so boring. It will become so boring that the productivity also will come down. Don't you agree to that? Yes, Madhav, do you agree to that? Yes?
Yeah, because if you share like each other's ideas, then people have different type of input, which can kind of modify how the group thinks in general. So, and also, it creates your mindset to overcome another person's state of mind that can go against your thinking.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Do you want to add anything, Shifa or Pujita? Would you like to add anything more? Okay, no problem. So, to survive challenges, we need all these storming so that it helps in the strength of the group. Now, next is the norming stage. Norming stage comes next, in which appropriate norms and roles for the groups are developed. So in this stage, what happens? The rules and regulations of the group are developed. And once these norms have been developed, the group enters the next stage. It's very simple. This is the norming stage. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever the rules are supposed to be developed, and they are developed, and all the members of the group need to adhere to these, rules. So once these are developed, norms are developed, the group enters the next stage. The performing stage. This is the performing stage. The performing stage is when the group members report great satisfaction and identification with the group, as well as a strong group identity. Groups that have reached this stage have the ability to meet goals and survive challenges. So the performing stage is when actually the performance takes place. So all the paid work in the groups have been done, the norms are in place, the rules are everything have been decided, the members have interacted with each other, the members are now prepared to start implementing their work, whatever that work is. And performance, exactly the performance. So then here the group meets the goals have been decided, they meet the goals, and to meet the goals, they have to survive the challenges. There may be different kinds of challenges coming across to meet the goals, and they have to survive and they have to implement what all they are supposed to do. So this is the performing stage. The actual performance, actual implementation of the group starts from this point. Most groups eventually come to the adjourning stage. So now this whole process, performing stage is the main stage. Here all the performances, whatever the group has been formed for, all these take place. They overcome the challenges in the process, they get the results, and all the goals have been achieved and everything. They reach the final point. So after reaching the final point, now the adjourning stage comes. Adjourning means winding up, closing. So for whatever purpose the group has been formed, so it has done everything, it has implemented, it has got the results, and now it has to close down. And this is called the adjourning stage. Now, where group members prepare for group to end. In some cases, this is because the task for which the group was formed has been completed. Whereas in other cases, it occurs because the group members have developed new interests outside the group. So what are the two reasons for which the group ends? One reason is that for whatever the group has been formed, the purpose has been served. And the second one is that these group members only, they find some other interest somewhere else, so they exit from the group and they leave the group, which is why the group has to end, or it is known as the adjourning stage. Have you all understood till here? Pujita, Shifa, Madhav?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So now, can you please give me an example of a group, formation of a group, which is formed with an agenda, with a single purpose, after which it is adjourned? Can you think of any such group?
NGOs, ma'am.
Okay.
NGO groups.
Right. Okay. And any other group you can think? which is formed for a single purpose. Cricket groups and all, do you think that these, what is that called, World Cup and all? But theirs is a permanent group, right? There, it's not, it doesn't wind up, right? It carries on. These cricket groups, the groups, who play for the cricket tournaments and all. Do you think it's a permanent group or a temporary group?
Well, I think that like sometimes when you're in a classroom and the teacher is giving like a project or an assignment, then that's one agenda that you have to do that project. So once you're completed with the project, then the group might end.
Right. Yeah, good. Thank you. So this is what it is about different types of group different levels of group formation. Now, group structure. Now we will come to group structure. Group structure is defined as the layout of a group. What is a group structure? It is a layout of a group. It is a combination of group roles, norms, conformity, workplace behavior, status, reference groups, status, social loafing, cohorts, group demography, and cohesiveness. Of course, all these do not belong to group structure, but apart from group structure, we have all these concepts which we need to understand. So, what are the concepts? One is social loafing. What do you understand by social loafing? Then group demography. What do you understand by group demography? So all these we will be doing one after the other. Now roles. Roles, we know. What do you understand by roles? The different roles the members play in a group. Now, for example, let us take the cricketing group, cricketing team. There may be some batsmen, there may be some bowlers. That is the role, right? The bowler. So all these are different roles which are assigned to different members in the group. The norms. Norms mean the rules which are laid down in the group. Conformity. What do you understand by conformity? Will anyone tell me? Pujita, can you tell me? What do you understand by conformity?
No, ma'am. I did not understand what is the meaning of conformity.
Anyone else who would like to explain to me what conformity means?
It's when two people kind of agree on a similar idea, like confirm with one idea.
Okay, yeah. So conformity is nothing but, following the rules or norms, whatever have been suggested. In very, very simple terms, it means that you are conforming, means you are following the rules and norms of the group. Understood, Pujita?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next, status. Status is a well-explained, it's a self-explained term. Status, what is the status? You have different status in the group. Could be a manager, accountant, or assistant accountant, or whatever in the group. All that describes the status. Coming to cohesiveness. Do you understand the meaning of cohesiveness? Cohesive meaning what? Working together effectively. Being cohesive means in a group, this is a fundamental necessity in a group that all the members should work in a very effectively together. That is what is cohesiveness means. So, okay, this is what the group structure is. Now, group functions. What are the group functions? A group has three major functions. These are satisfaction of needs, loyalty of the members, and belief for the group. So satisfaction of the needs, this is very simple, right? You are joining a group with the intention that your need will be satisfied. Whatever goal you are looking forward, and whatever need you are having, you think that it should be satisfied. That is why you have joined the group as a member. Now, that is one, satisfaction of needs. Second is loyalty of the members. All the members, whoever are there in the group, they should be loyal to the group. That is the fundamental necessity. If the loyalty of the members is not there, then the group cannot remain. The group will be shattered totally. So, loyalty of the members to the group is necessary. Now, what do you understand by loyalty? If the group has formulated certain norms, policies, and all. The members have to stick to that, and whatever do's or do nots, the members are told to follow. The members have to follow that. So all these come under the loyalty of the members. Belief for the group. See, you are joining a group with the belief that you will be successful. Your group will be successful. Because your group is successful, you will also be successful. So that belief for the group is very, very important. Extent group cohesiveness is the extent to which group members are attracted towards each other and are encouraged to stay in the group, working effectively. Now, group cohesion is the aggregate of all the factors causing members of a group to stay in the group or to be attracted to the group. Group cohesion acts as the social glue that binds a group together. Some people think that work teams illustrating strong group cohesion will function and perform better in achieving work goals. So it's a very, very important belief that to achieve work goals, the group cohesiveness is very, very important. Now, you have understood what group cohesiveness is: working together, having belief, having trust on each other, and working together. Now, what are the factors which determine group cohesiveness? Now, first let us see what types of group. Some groups like military groups and sports groups have great cohesion than other groups. Now, military groups, do you understand that? What are military groups? In the military, you have groups, right? Different army cadets and all that you have. And sports groups like cricket sports, tennis group, all these are there. They have greater cohesion than other groups. Do you agree to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Yes, there is a very, very valid reason why they are more cohesive than other groups. Now, amount of effort required to join the group. The greater the difficulty in joining the group, the greater is the attraction towards it. I'm sure all of you will agree to me when it is said that the more difficult you face to join the group, you will stick to the group more because such difficulty you joined the group. You have more attraction towards the group. External threats to the group makes the members unite together and fight together. Another element, another factor which determines the group cohesiveness is external factors. Suppose there are other few groups and they are threatening this group, your group, in the group that you are there. So what would you do? You would become more strongly knit in the group so that you fight all the external other groups. Cohesion among the members increases when there is a competition between two groups. Yes, this is another element, another factor determining the cohesiveness. What is that? It is that when there is competition, suppose two groups are there, they are having the same goals, almost the same. Then because of the competition between group A and group B, the group A members will become more united, more cohesive, so that they can pick up the battle and fight the battle. So this is another determinant of group cohesiveness. Next comes level of cohesion depend. Now coming of level of cohesion. What determines the level, whether it is very low, medium, or very high level? It depends upon the size of the group. Now suppose some seashore found that groups have below 20 members were more cohesive than larger groups. So Seashore told that groups who are having more members, they are less cohesive than groups who are having 20 members or so. Why do you think so? Can you please think and tell me why do you think so? Bigger groups have less cohesiveness.
Lack of
There are
communication.
so many members, lack of communication.
Correct. Lack of communication. And smaller group means more bonding. Bigger group means it's like kind of a spread out, like, that is the reason. Yes, Madhav, you wanted to say something?
No, I was going to say the same thing because there's less people that you have to kind of communicate to and kind of relay information, and you have to agree to certain rules. If there's a larger amount of people, then it's hard to relay that information to have everyone agree to the same.
Yes, you're right. So exactly that is what is being said here also. Less smaller groups mean the belongingness, the connectivity, belongingness is more than in larger groups. Now leadership. Leadership is a very, very common word, as we all know. In leadership functions, what are the functions of a leader and what are the leadership styles? What are the functions of we will look into these two aspects. What are the functions of a leader and what are the different kinds of leaders? Now, leaders have different functions and they have to carry out these functions for successful group performance. You all agree with me when I say that the leader, it depends on the leader, how the group performs, right? So the leader is the main, driving force. He is like an engine to all the other bogies. You can compare him to the engine of the whole train, and he's pulling the train along. Compartments, all the compartments are like the members of the team. Now, these functions include, what are the functions of the leader? They have planning, organizing, controlling activities, group members, and the leader must apply his personal skills, traits, and other competencies to lead the group. So, what are the different functions of planning, organizing, controlling activities? Here, you will just see that when you go and read the textbooks, you'll find that the functions of leadership, the functions of leaders also, different people have given different kinds of functions. Some have said there are the main 5 functions of the leader, or maybe 3 functions. These somewhat overlap each other. So the mainly you should just understand planning, organizing, and controlling activities of the group members is the main functions of the leader. Some include motivation, some include motivating the members is also a function of leaders. So all these different versions are there. So now for the leader to be very effective, what does he need? He needs some personal skills and traits and other competencies to lead the group. Leaders have to perform a variety of functions, and accordingly they have to vary in the style of functioning. Vary means change. So the group leaders, they have to change their strategies time and again. Sometimes very, very rigid, strict, sometimes very flexible. Sometimes the members, he will ask the members, and sometimes he will be authoritative. So all these are different strategies which the leaders need to use. So for that, the leader needs to have some kinds of personality skills and traits so that he's effective in his leadership role. Now, their style of studies by Helpin and Winner have identified 2 important dimensions. What are the 2 important dimensions in which leaders differ in their behavior? They are initiating structure and consideration. So what are the 2 aspects? The leaders differ is initiating, how they initiate structures, and what are the considerations they take into when they are initiating the structures. Now, kinds of leadership styles. There are, as you can see, there are different kinds of leadership styles. When they're leading the team or the group, many leaders, according to the personality traits, according to their belief system, they develop different leadership styles. Now we will be looking into what are the different kinds of leadership styles. One is authoritarian leadership, which is also known as autocratic. This means authority, as you can very well understand. Authority, the leader has the full authority. No member can raise up his questions or whatever the leader says, the members have to follow. In other words, this is also known as autocratic. Next is democratic or participative leadership. As the very term suggests, democratic means what? By the people, for the people, etc., etc. So here also in a group, the group members only deal everything. The group members, it is for the group members. So everything is free for the leader also, for the members also. This is called participative leadership. The leader is very, very accommodating to the members' opinions, everything he shares with them. Members also give their opinion, and that is how they achieve their targets. Next is delegative leadership. Laissez-faire. I think this term must be familiar to you. Delegative leadership means here the leader delegates also. He delegates different kinds of responsibilities to different team members, and then he gets the results. Now, so these are, as I told, have you all understood these three kinds of leadership styles?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry?
Can you explain third one, delegative leadership, once again?
Okay, delegative leadership. As the term suggests, delegative means delegate. Delegate means, in common English language, delegating work means you give work. It is called decentralization of the work. You hand over the work, one job to one person, one job to one person. So like that, you delegate the work. Suppose there are 3-4 tasks to be done. So you delegate these 3-4 tasks to the members of the group. This is, in other words, this is also known as laissez-faire policy. This is in capitalism and all. In sociology, you study that this is a kind of market mechanism where freedom is given more for the trade, merchandise trade and all, freedom to interact, freedom to interchange of goods and all. There is no authority which forces you to do something. So delegative means delegation of work. Now I'll give you a small example. Suppose examination is there. Today you have the exam. So writing of the question papers, the university does, writing of the answer scripts, correction of the answer scripts. In the hall, examination hall, invigilation, all the students are seated in their respective places, the writing on the desk, the admission numbers and all. So what actually the university does, it delegates the work. So one person, the head, someone will take charge of the writing. In the college, he will take charge of writing the roll numbers on the desk. So one other person who is the invigilator will distribute the question papers. The same person will collect the answer sheets. For the corrections, the answer scripts go to a different professor or lecturer. So have you got the picture?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. So this is what is delegative leadership. Now let us come quickly understand the whole unit quickly. This is group process and leadership. A group involves people who perceive themselves to be part of a coherent unit that they perceive as different from another group. Tuckman and Jensen explains that the formation of groups are at different stages. So when you are mentioning, suppose you get a question, explain the different stages of group formation. So when you're writing the answer, it is important that you mention this name, Tuckman and Jensen. Then you will get additional marks. Okay. So explains that the formation of groups are at different stages: forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. Group structure is defined as the layout of a group. It is a combination of group roles, norms, conformity, workplace behavior, status, reference groups, status, social loafing, cohorts, group demography, and cohesiveness. Norms are the acceptable standards of behavior within a group that are shared by the group members. There are 4 different types of norms that exist in a group, such as performance norms. This I think we didn't discuss in detail. Appearance norms, social arrangement norms, and resource allocation norms. Norms means, as I told you earlier also, it is rules. So what are the different types of norms that exist? One is performance norm, means it is connected to the performance. So performance means what? Suppose one member is told that your performance level should match, suppose 10% of the whole job. If the whole job is 100%, your performance should match to 5%. That is the norm, it should be followed. Appearance norm, you come to office just not wearing night clothes or something and all. You wear good, decent clothes, proper clothes, formal clothes, and you come to office. Or maybe some other norms are given for dressing up. So this is what? Dressing up norm, or what is it called? Wherever I missed it. Appearance norms, okay? The next is social arrangement norm. Social arrangement means how the social structure would be, what would be the interaction level, social structure with the hierarchies, who will be the manager, who will be the assistant manager, what would be the interaction? Would it be social structure? Would it be very formal or semi-formal? All these would be in the social arrangement. Then you have resource allocation now. Resource allocation, the stationery and all, what are the rules, who would take how many, what is the accountability, all these would come in the resource allocation norms. Now, Kurt Lewin and I had identified different styles of leadership. While further research has identified more distinct types of leadership, this early study was very influential and established three major leadership styles: authoritarian leadership, participative, and delegative leadership. Now, about this, there is one social loafing. This concept I'll definitely explain to you in my next class. Please remind me. This is a very, very important concept. Okay? So shall we end this? We end this here. So now we will move on to the next unit, which is the social influence.
Social influence.
Yeah, social influence. It is unit 11. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
It is unit 11. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we move on to block 4 only. It is called social influence. Now, does anyone have even little bit idea about what this social influence is? What is this social and what is the influence that we are talking about? What do you understand? Yes.
Influence means changing the opinions of people.
Yes. That means society. Yes, Madhav?
Well, I think social influence is like how other people might modify your actions, because when you're out in society, how you react and how other people react towards you is caused by the influence that you have on them and they have on you, and that nature is between both of them.
Right, absolutely. So actually, an individual influences society as well as society influences individual. It happens both ways. Okay. So now the social influence, we will be looking into the social influence unit, discussing all these concepts which you can see. By first, of course, the introduction, what you understand by social influence, then what is the concept, then conformity, compliance, and obedience. These are the main concepts in social influence. Now, what do we understand by social influence? Social influence involves effort by one or more people to change the behavior, attitudes, or feelings. It can be anything, changing attitudes, behavior, or feelings, changing these of one or more others. Psychologists have spent decades studying the power of social influence and the way in which it manipulates people's opinions and behavior. So, this has been a long, continuous study by psychologists to understand what the power of society, power of social influence on how it controls or manipulates the individual behavior. Specifically, social influence refers to the way in which individuals change their ideas and actions to meet the demands of a social group, perceived authority, social role, or a minority within a group in which influencing over the majority. Most of us encounter social influence in its many forms on a regular basis. For example, a student may alter his or her behavior to match that of others in a class. The majority held opinions of a group of friends are likely to inform the views of new members to that social group. Now, suppose you join a new group in your college. So, what will you do? They would be discussing about some, suppose political something, political views, they'll be discussing about which party is good, which party is not good. And you have joined the group very, very new. So, what would you do? You would not go against them, right? Even if you have different views, you will keep quiet, even if you explicitly do not tell them. So, this way, the group is influencing you. It may not be influencing you actually, but for the time being, you are silent, you do not express your views. So, this way, in you groups can influence an individual perspective or thinking. So, here they're saying that, suppose, example, a student may alter his or her behavior also. Forget about thinking. The behavior pattern also can be influenced by a group, and you will try behaving in the group in the same manner that other members are behaving in the group. So, furthermore, we are influenced by the requests of people who are seen as holding positions of authority. For instance, suppose an employee will follow the orders of his supervisor, right? Supervisor gives some order to the employee. So even if the employee doesn't like, he will follow the order because he has to please his employer. This is what one kind of an influence. So there are a number of reasons why people allow social influences to affect their thoughts and behavior. There are different reasons why the social influences work on individuals. One reason is that we often conform to the norms of a group to gain acceptance of its members. Why do we conform? Conforming means following whatever the group is following. We do that. Why do we do that? Because we want to belong to the group. We want to become part of the group. This is one of the reasons why we let the group influence us. Now, supporters of a football team voluntarily wear shirts of their teams to feel a part of the group, right? You must have noticed all these, they have their own jerseys with those numbers written behind the jersey. Why do they follow that? Because they have acceptance that they have belong to that group, to feel part of the group. Friends may also wear similar clothing to their peers to experience a sense of belonging, to emphasize their shared ideas. So all friends that decide, okay, today we will wear blue. So all of you wear that and come. So this is just to increase the affinity and belongingness to the group. Now, concept of social influence. Various psychologists, all this while we had discussed just what is social influence, how an individual gets influenced by the society. Now, from the social perspective, we are just going to discuss about social influence. Various psychologists have studied the power of social influence and the way it manipulates people's opinions and behavior. Social influence refers to the way in which individual changes their ideas and actions to meet the demands of a social group. What is it exactly? A person is changing his ideas and attitudes to belong to that group, whatever the group is there, authority or a social role. The social influence is the change in behavior that one person causes to another. It can be intentionally or it can be unintentionally. As a result of the way the changed person perceives themselves relation to the influencer, other people and society in general. So it occurs when a person's emotions, opinions, or behaviors are affected by others. When does this happen? It only happens when the person's emotions, opinions, or behaviors are affected or influenced. So social influence takes many forms. There are different forms of social influence. Three important forms of social influence are conformity, compliance, and obedience. Please remember, these are the three main important forms of social influence: conformity, compliance, and obedience. What is conformity? Conformity is changing how you behave to be more like others. To become more like others, you change your behavior. That is conformity. This plays to belonging and esteem needs as we seek the approval and friendship of others. When we want the friendship of others, so you try without knowing also you tend to imitate what the other person likes to do that so that you are accepted by him. Conformity can run very deep as we will even change our beliefs and values to be to like those of our peers and admired superiors. It is not only behavior, superficial behavior, it may seep down very deeply also when you have the intention of pleasing your boss or pleasing someone. So this is basically conformity. Have you all understood this concept, conformity?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So next comes compliance. Compliance. It is where a person does something that they're asked to do by another. They may choose to comply or not to comply, although the thoughts of social reward and punishment may lead them to compliance when they really do not want to comply. This generally happens in organizations and all. These rules, even if you don't like it, you have to comply to whatever the organization says. So, this is one kind of influence, social influence. Obedience. Obedience, as we all know, is different from compliance in that it is obeying an order from someone that you accept as an authority figure. What is the difference between compliance and obedience? Obedience is someone superior, someone authority is there. You accept that authority figure and then you do whatever that person asks you to do. Whereas compliance is something that what happens in this is that you may not like it, but because the organization or something is asking you to do, there is no fixed authority. You have the choice not to obey, but you take the choice of complying because you know it is for your own good. So there is a difference between compliance and obedience. So here, as they say, obedience is different from compliance in that it is obeying an order. Obedience simply order. Be obedient. In schools, what do? We tell the children, just keep silent, listen to the class. So these are all we are ordering and they have to be obedient. Someone you accept as an authority figure. In compliance, you have some choice. In compliance, you have some choice. In obedience, you believe that you do not have a choice. Please remember these two differences between compliance and obedience. Many military officers and commercial managers are interested only in obedience. What is the negative aspect of obedience? Obedience is that people may rebel toward the end. If the obedience is too much, children or people may have the chances to rebel and go against you. Conformity. Conformity, in other words, refers to pressures to behave in ways consistent with rules, indicating how we should or ought to behave. Pujita, could you please read the remaining points I have explained to you?
For instance, governments generally function through written constitution and laws. Chess and other games have very specific rules and signs in many public places. Example, along highways, in parks, at airports describes accepted behavior in considerable details. Example, stop, no swimming, no parking. In other situations, norms may be unspoken or implement and in fact may have developed in a totally informal manner. For instance, we all recognize such instant rules: don't make noise during a concert and try to look your best when going on a job interview. Regardless of whether social norms and explicit and implicit, formal or informal too, one fact is clear: most people follow them most of the time.
Okay, so this is what it is. So they are saying explicit, implicit. Some places when you're going out for a show, you should neat dressly, should go neatly. All these are implicit, right? So similarly, these orders are there: no swimming, no parking, stop. So all these, some of the rules in public places, these also come under conformity and all. So have you all understood this concept? Should we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The factors affecting conformity, cohesiveness and conformity. One factor that strongly, now we are talking about what factors affect conformity. Now, cohesiveness and conformity. What is the link between cohesiveness and conformity? One factor that strongly influences our tendency to conform is cohesiveness. What is cohesiveness? Extent to which we are attracted to a particular social group and want to belong to it. The more we are attracted, the more we will conform, right? So the greater the cohesiveness, the more we tend to follow the norms of the group. So we like it, so we follow the rules. It's as simple as that. Conformity and group size. Conformity is again the factor which affect conformity is the group size. The smaller the group, the conformity will be more. The bigger the group, the people are members are all spread out, and the conformity will be less. Now, descriptive and injunctive social norm. Social norms can be formal or informal in nature. There are two other kinds, descriptive and injunctive norms. Descriptive norms are ones that simply describe what most people do in a given situation. As the term itself suggests, descriptive norms is nothing but which describes, simply it describes what the people should do in a given situation. They influence behavior by informing us about what is generally seen as effective or adaptive in that situation. Now, injunctive, what is injunctive norm? Specify what ought to be done. That is what is approved or disapproved behavior in a given situation. Now, for example, in the library, what kind of behavior is expected?
Be silent.
Right, silence is expected. So that is again behavior, it's an approved behavior. So those students who are not silent, it is a disapproved behavior. For example, there is a strong injunctive norm against cheating in exam. This is also an injunctive norm, cheating in exam. Now, Ash, the famous Ash, he made a study, he did conformity study. And in his study, it is very, very interesting. Later on, when you read, you'll understand. Life, he says that life is filled with instances in which we discover that our own judgments, actions, or conclusions are different from those reached by other people. Okay, this is we all know. Now, Ash's study helps provide some insight into a behavior in these situations. What did he say? Ash created a compelling social dilemma for his participants, whose task was apparently to simply respond to a series of perceptual problems. Now, on each of these problems, participants were to indicate which of these comparison lines matched a standard line in length. Okay, I'll tell you, see, there is a standard line drawn on the board with arrows, both sides arrows. So then with this, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 other lines which are drawn. So which are very, very close to this line. So what he says is that in a group, this is an experiment he did is that, so without knowing, unknown to all the other members of the group, so one experimenter, assistant of the experimenter was present in the group. So what he does is he gives the wrong answer. So once he gives the wrong answer, when the other members in the group are asked for the answer, they think twice whether maybe he is right, maybe he is saying the right, maybe I should say the same answer. So like that, these other people are also misguided. So they become influenced by his behavior or by his opinion, whatever he says, that this line is same as this line in the stated example. So this definitely you should go, please read from the book Ash's Experiment, Ash's Conformity Study, very, very interesting, and you will find it very interesting. Okay? Okay, so let me read this actually. Also present but unknown to the real, all were assistants of the experiment. Okay, now compliance. What is compliance? Compliance is a type of social influence where an individual does whatever someone else wants them to do, following his, her, or her request or suggestion. It is similar to obedience, but there is no order, only a request. So what is the difference between obedience and compliance? Obedience is order. Compliance is a request.
Request.
Right, that's the difference. According to Breckler, Olson and Wiggins, compliance refers to a change in behavior that is requested by another person or group. The individual acted in some way because others asked him or her to do so. But it was possible to refuse or decline. See, in compliance, there's a possibility to refuse or decline. But in obedience, that possibility is also not there. Situations calling for compliance take many forms. Okay. Now, these include a friend's plea for help, sheepishly prefaced by the question, "Can you do me a favor?" This is one form of asking for request. They also include the pop-up ads on the internet designed to lure you into a commercial site, and the salesperson's pitch for business prefaced by the dangerous words, "Have I got a deal for you?" All these statements, what is it saying? It's asking you to buy the products. Am I right? Sometimes the request, these are all different kinds of requests. Sometimes the request is upfront and direct. What you see is what you get. All other times it is in part of a subtle and more elaborate manipulation. This request, sometimes it is direct, sometimes it is manipulative, sometimes the person doesn't understand that he's being asked to do this favor. So these are all different forms of requests. Now, 6 basic principles. Now, what are the basic principles of social influence are? Friendship, liking, commitment, consistency, scarcity, then reciprocity, then social validation, authority. 5. Have I told 5 or 6? I think 1. One is friendship or liking. In general, we are more willing to comply with requests from friends or from people we like than with requests from strangers. Correct, right? This is true. When friends request us to do something, we do it very happily than when strangers ask us to do. And also, when you like the person, you will do all the more happily. Next, commitment and consistency. Once we have committed ourselves to a position or action, we are more willing to comply with requests for behavior that are consistent with this position or action than with requests that are inconsistent with it. It means that once we comply to a request, someone requests you, you comply. So then again, what happens? Same type of favor you would be asked than something else, because they will know that you will comply if you ask this kind of a favor. Now, scarcity. In general, we value and try to secure outcomes or objects that are scarce or decreasing in availability. So when there is scarcity also, you have this factor, this principle also affects the social influence. As a result, what happens? We are more likely to comply with requests than focus on scarcity. So as soon when there is scarcity, you comply to the request and you do whatever you are being asked to do. Reciprocity. Reciprocity means reciprocating. You do it, you do this, I will do this. That is what is reciprocation. We are generally more willing to comply with a request from someone who has previously provided a favor. Suppose one who has already given you a favor, you will be ready to do for that person, right? You will think, okay, he has done for me, so I also have to do for him. A favor, a concession. Then, in other words, we feel obligated to pay people back in some way for what they have done. That is another principle. Now, social validation. We are generally more willing to comply with a request for some action if this action is consistent with what we believe people similar to ourselves are doing or thinking. We want to be correct. Either one way or other, we want to be correct. If you know by doing this, you will be